Nikolai didn't plan to uncover anything. It started as a favor. His wife, Dasha, had been complaining for weeks about her laptop slowing down, blaming it on those stupid Zoom updates, and asking him to help clean it up. Saturday afternoon, she was out at a yoga class, the expensive kind with crystal bowls and cacao ceremonies, and he finally had a quiet window to run diagnostics and delete unnecessary files. He opened the Downloads folder, then Documents. Then, tucked among tax receipts, recipes, and a half-finished novel draft, was a folder. Boldly named, all caps, "Do not open." He smirked, subtle. A normal person might hesitate. Nikolai wasn't a normal person. He was a back-end developer with a silent grudge against bad naming conventions, and an even worse addiction to curiosity. He clicked. At first, he wasn't sure what he was looking at. Inside were subfolders labeled like chapters in a dystopian novel. Conversations, media, risk matrix, favorites. The contents loaded slowly. Dozens of screenshots, saved chats, cropped photos, videos, clips of Dasha in hotel rooms, on balconies, in their own living room. Each file was labeled with shocking precision. Names, locations, dates, even notes on the men. M equals emotional but obedient. R equals wild, risky, worth it. One Excel file simply read, exposure probability vs reward. It looked less like an affair and more like a research project. Nikolai sat there, frozen. Not angry, not devastated, not yet. Just processing. He'd always known Dasha craved attention. She thrived on likes, comments, reactions. Her Instagram stories were cinematic, filtered, curated. Their marriage? Quiet, steady, predictable. He hadn't suspected anything, not because she was good at hiding it, but because he never thought to look. Now, everything looked different. The girls' weekend in Sochi? That wasn't her friend Irina in the mirror reflection. The project meeting at that wine bar last spring? There was a photo. That same black dress. That same night. She had documented it all like a perverse digital diary, except instead of locking it, she named the folder, like a dare. Do not open. He closed the laptop slowly, feeling the soft click of the hinge like the final note of a piano chord. Then, he exhaled. No yelling, no confrontation. Instead, he zipped the entire folder into an archive, uploaded it to the cloud, gave it a title, a gift from Dasha. Don't ask, just watch. Then, with deliberate calm, he opened the family group chat, the one filled with casserole recipes, forwarded prayers and baby photos, and hit send. Nikolai stood up, stretched, and went to make himself a cup of tea. He didn't need to wait long. His phone vibrated. Once, twice. Then, an avalanche. Kalia, what is this? Wait, is that her? Oh my God. The storm had begun. And Nikolai, he just took a sip of tea. The first few messages were hesitant, like people creeping through fog, unsure if what they were seeing was real. Kolya, is this some kind of joke? What am I looking at? Then came the photos. Someone, likely Dasha's younger cousin, had opened the archive first. Screenshots began flooding the chat, cropped images, timestamps, intimate moments, pixelated and raw. And then, silence. A long, collective pause, as if the entire family exhaled at the same time, then forgot how to breathe. Nikolai's phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't texts. His calls. His mother-in-law. Ignored. His father-in-law declined. Her sister, rejected. He simply put his phone on silent and turned it face down. On the screen, the tiny notification count ticked up like a slow-motion explosion. Nikolai sat at the kitchen table, stirring honey into his tea. The quiet hum of the electric kettle was the only sound. Behind him, his wife's world was collapsing in real time, and he wasn't even watching. Instead, he opened a new browser tab, typed "best free cloud storage with no delete option." Some truths he thought should live forever. Across the city, Dasha was in the middle of filming a hair product review for her followers. Ring light on, filters active, smile tight. Then the buzzing started. First her sister, then her mother, then the family group chat exploded like a digital volcano. Messages flew past the top of her screen faster than she could read. Her phone slipped from the tripod. She snatched it up, tapped the screen, froze. The folder, the name, the videos, and worst of all, The message from Nikolai. He told me not to open it, but I'm not great at following directions. Her heart pounded in her chest. Her palms were slick. She tapped to call him. No answer. She tried again. Still nothing. The third time he picked up, but said nothing. Just silence. Then after a pause, his voice. Calm, clear, merciless. You named the folder Do Not Open? You knew someone would? Maybe you even wanted it. Congratulations, Dasha. You've gone viral. Just not in the way you're used to. She stared at the screen. The call had ended. Her stomach lurched. A wave of nausea hit hard and fast. She stumbled to the bathroom, barely making it to the sink. Back in the family chat, the tone had shifted. Shock gave way to judgment. Her father, I didn't raise my daughter to live like this. Her mother, how many, Dasha, how many? Her sister, you're sick, and Nikolai. God, I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve this. Even her goddamn grandmother had typed. My eyes are old, but not blind, shameful. The emoji reactions were brutal. Thumbs down, vomit faces, broken hearts. No one was on her side. Dasha tried to delete the file from the cloud, but Nikolai had changed the permissions. Read only, no edits, no deletion. She tried reporting the message in the group chat, nothing. The admins were her own family, and they weren't taking her calls. For once, the influencer couldn't control the narrative. Nikolai, meanwhile, opened his laptop again. He checked the archive. Views were rising. The quiet ones, the ones who hadn't said a word in the group chat, they were clicking. He didn't need their approval, just their attention, and he had it. At 7:16 p.m., Dasha sent him one final message. You had no right. He read it once, then replied, neither did you. Then he blocked her. The morning after the explosion, the apartment was unusually still. Nikolai stood at the window with a cup of black coffee, watching the world roll by beneath his sixth-floor balcony. Joggers, dog walkers, an old woman with a cane and too many plastic bags. All of them blissfully unaware that a digital reckoning had taken place a few feet above them. His phone was still on silent. Dozens of missed calls, unread messages, even a few emails now. Not from Dasha. She was done trying to reach him directly. Now came the intermediaries, mutual friends, family members, even one of the men from the spreadsheet, under the hilarious and utterly predictable subject line, "Hey man, can we talk?" Nikolai didn't respond to any of them. Instead, he opened the Freedom folder on his desktop, the one he had created just after deleting the infamous Do Not Open. Inside it were the essentials: updated passwords, rental applications, scanned copies of his birth certificate, a list of moving companies with reviews. Freedom wasn't just symbolic anymore. It was in the logistics. The public fallout began where all modern scandals do: the internet. Somehow, and Nikolai never bothered asking how, screenshots from the family chat made their way onto Twitter. A random cousin, or maybe Dasha herself, in a last-ditch play for sympathy, but that backfired massively. The story hit a nerve. It had everything: betrayal, digital voyeurism, a silent husband hero, and the unholy absurdity of someone labeling their sins "Do Not Open." Within hours, the screenshots were reposted with commentary. This man just dropped the ultimate truth bomb on his wife and walked away like a damn samurai. Imagine cheating and organizing it in Excel like a corporate merger. She treated infidelity like project management. I just wanted to clean her laptop is now officially more dangerous than we need to talk. Memes followed. A TikTok audio of Nikolai's final line, "You named it, do not open, I opened it," was remixed into skits, song parodies, and dramatic reenactments. Dasha's Instagram lost thousands of followers overnight. One of the brands she had recently partnered with released a bland but firm statement: "We do not condone or support deception, abuse of trust, or unethical behavior, online or offline." Another influencer posted a reaction video titled, "When cloud is life, but your husband has the receipts." The internet wasn't just watching, it was feasting. In the real world, things were even more brutal. Dasha lost her biggest freelance contract within 2 days. Her agency called to pause all pending campaigns, a phrase that usually meant, "Don't come back." A client sent an email politely asking her to remove herself from a shared Google Drive for security reasons. She didn't even argue. And worst of all, her mother, the same woman who used to proudly forward Dasha's travel selfies and inspirational posts to the extended family, stopped replying altogether. Blocked her. When Dasha finally reached her sister by phone, the conversation lasted under a minute. It ended with, "I don't care how complicated it was. You humiliated all of us. And for what? Cheap thrills and emojis?" Meanwhile, Nikolai had already begun moving his things into a short-term rental across town. Not because he had to. The apartment lease was in his name. The savings, too. But he didn't want the space anymore. Too many ghosts. Dasha hadn't returned home since the folder drop. She was reportedly staying with one of her influencer friends, someone with pastel decor and a sponsorship with an oat milk brand. He didn't care. Not anymore. There was no vindictive pleasure, no champagne toast, just the quiet, accumulating peace of detachment. Each time he removed a piece of clothing from the closet, folded it, and packed it, he felt lighter, not happier, just unburdened, like a man laying down a weight he'd carried too long without realizing it. The one time he allowed himself a true emotional moment was on the third night. He found an old Polaroid tucked into a drawer, them at the lake years ago. Dasha had no makeup on, hair a mess, smiling like the world didn't exist. It hurt not because he missed her, but because that Dasha, the one from the photo, might never have existed at all. Or maybe she had, and she'd simply been eaten alive by likes, clout, and the dopamine rush of double taps. He burned the photo on the balcony in a shallow metal bowl, watched it curl and darken, its edges glowing red like an embered leaf. No ceremony, no rage, just an ending. By the end of the week, the frenzy online had begun to fade. Another scandal had taken its place. A rapper's leaked DMs, a TikToker's fake breakup. But inside Nikolai's world, something had clicked. He opened the Freedom folder one last time, made a final backup of his documents, and closed the laptop. Outside, the wind was picking up. It felt like the beginning of something. Nikolai didn't leave all at once. He vanished in phases. The apartment he once shared with Dasha had become a mausoleum of curated memories. Candle holders from Bali, fridge magnets that screamed wanderlust, framed photos, each a calculated snapshot, each carefully filtered for Instagram but hollow in hindsight. He didn't rage, he didn't trash anything, he didn't even erase her presence. He simply began replacing it. One by one, the photos came down, the frame stayed empty. Her ring light, left in the corner like some abandoned altar to vanity, was unplugged and wrapped in a blanket. Stored in the closet, on the coffee table, where she used to scatter glossy magazines and half-drunk matcha lattes, now sat a single book, Orwell's 1984. Nikolai smiled at the irony. He had taken up walking, not running, not escaping, just walking in silence. No podcasts, no music, just shoes on pavement and the occasional bark of a dog or rustle of wind through branches. He found clarity in the small rituals. Black coffee at the same cafe at 8:45 at groceries every Wednesday. No social media, no news. Each step was like a manual override for his mind, distancing himself from the noise, the screenshots, the likes, and the synthetic intimacy of the modern world. He wasn't healing, he was simplifying. Meanwhile, Dasha had entered the apology tour phase of her PR melt. Not publicly, of course, that would be too genuine. Instead, she issued a carefully worded reflection post. White background, black serif font, crop square, #growth. I'm learning every day. I'm not perfect, but I refuse to be defined by my lowest moment. The comment section was limited. One fan replied, "We all make mistakes, Queen." Another, "Men be so dramatic when they find out you have options." Nikolai read it once and laughed, not bitterly, just amused. Option. She had mistaken exploitation for empowerment, betrayal for boldness. Google Sheets for romance. Let her keep her options. He met his lawyer on a drizzly Monday morning. Nikolai was early, dressed simply, no theatrics. They reviewed the paperwork over bitter espresso and almond croissants. There was no fight, no division of assets, no drama. She had more to lose, and she knew it. The apartment, the savings, the crypto wallet, even the electric scooter, all his. He didn't gloat, he didn't even bring it up. But when his lawyer handed him the signed decree, Nikolai felt something unexpected. Not triumph, just space, like opening a window in a room that had been sealed for too long. Later that week, he received a voice note from Dasha, 17 seconds long. "I hope you're proud. You ruined my career, my family, everything. All for what? A folder?" He played it once, then deleted it. She still didn't get it. It was never about revenge, never about humiliation. It was about truth. She had built her identity like a house of mirrors, all angles and illusion. Nikolai had simply removed the curtain, let everyone else see the wires and duct tape behind the glamour. The rest collapsed on its own. A month later, Dasha reached out one last time, this time through an old mutual friend. She wanted to meet. Nikolai agreed, not to reconcile, not to rekindle, but because he had one final thing to say. They met at a quiet park bench. No cameras, no coffee cups, just two people in the aftermath of a story that went viral, then disappeared. She arrived late, tired, pale. The glamour had dulled, the fire dimmed. She started with, I didn't think you'd actually show." He didn't respond. She followed with, "You really destroyed me, you know." He tilted his head. "No," he said gently. "I just opened something you left in plain sight." That was the end of it. No closure, no tears, just an unfinished sentence, left dangling in the air, like smoke. He walked away, didn't look back. At home, the new place was simple, clean, no noise, no Dasha. He had a new habit now, journaling, a private folder on his laptop called After, just one entry per day. Some were short, biked 5 miles, forgot about her entirely. Is that good? Some were wry, saw a girl in a red coat, thought of Dasha, then remembered Dasha hated red. And some were unfiltered. I spent years thinking silence meant peace, but sometimes silence is just a person waiting for someone else to speak first. Never again. One evening, as the sun dipped below the skyline, he opened his laptop, stared at the desktop. Only one folder remained. Freedom. He right-clicked. He called it done and closed the lid. Behind him, the kettle boiled. Somewhere outside, a dog barked. Life, beautifully indifferent, kept moving, and so did he. The message came from her mother, a short one. "I don't know where you are right now, but maybe take a moment to think about where you're going." Nikolai didn't reply. He stared at the text for a moment longer than he meant to, then locked the screen and slid the phone face down. By now, even the people closest to Dasha had stopped trying to explain her or him or what exactly had happened in that family chat that Tuesday afternoon at 17:45. Everyone had their version. A few even tried to rewrite it, to soften the edges, to cast Dasha as a woman under pressure, or Nikolai as a cold, calculating revenge nerd. But he didn't bother correcting them. Let them guess. Let them fill in the blanks. He didn't need them to know the truth. He had lived it. That weekend, Nikolai finished what he started. The last cardboard box sat in the corner of his new apartment, a space that didn't echo with Dasha's voice, or her laughter, or the soft click of her heels as she walked past his chair without looking at him. This place had no shadows, only light and empty shelves, waiting to be filled by something new. He opened the box. It was the last one, the one he had avoided unpacking. Inside were remnants, a scarf she had once forgotten at his desk, a travel adapter with her initials in Sharpie, a greeting card from 5 years ago that still smelled faintly of her perfume. He sat with them for a moment, not mourning, just remembering, just acknowledging that it had happened, that she had happened. Then, slowly and methodically, he placed each item into a second box marked Donate. He sealed it shut. No ceremony, no nostalgia, just tape. Final. That evening he returned to the balcony, his favorite spot. A soft breeze slipped through the open glass door. Below, the city pulsed in the quiet, indifferent rhythm of people going about their lives, never knowing how many personal earthquakes had reshaped the floors above them. He took a sip of tea. No sugar, just the way he liked it. In his lap was a paperback he'd been trying to finish for months. But tonight, he didn't open it. Instead, he stared at the skyline and smiled, not because he was happy, but because he was free. Somewhere in the cloud, buried under layers of encryption, the folder still existed. A gift from Dasha. Don't ask, just watch. But it no longer needed to be opened. The damage was done. The truth was free. The curtain had fallen, and the audience had long since stopped clapping. The final notification came at 9:13 p.m. A single message from an unknown number. "You win." He read it, deleted it. blocked the number. On his desktop, there was only one folder left. No more do not open. No more freedom, just a new one. He'd renamed it Begin. Inside it, a blank document, a list of places to visit. A quote by Vonnegut, "I can't go on," and one simple note he'd written to himself, "She turned life into a game, I turned the ending into a message." He closed the laptop, got up, and walked back into the quiet.